presenters today about safety and security on campus, also residential education and housing. I'll let them introduce themselves. We call it the Dawn and Tony Show, so.
We're not responsible. Yeah, we are responsible. Well, welcome everybody. How many people had to drive last night? Oh, I'm really sorry. It was really scary last night, wasn't it? I mean, the sky turning color and everything. But I'm glad you're here today. We all just met with your students earlier, and they seem like a great bunch. And God, I wish I had half the enthusiasm they're doing. It's unbelievable how they're wound up. I'm Don Clark, and I'm your Director of Safety and Security, and on behalf of my entire staff, which covers both campuses of the university, welcome to the University of New England. I remember when I took my kids off to college quite a while ago. I just remember what I went through and how I felt dropping off my students at college. And being a police officer at the time, I was very concerned about their safety. In fact, I tell everyone the story how I almost went back and got my daughter. I mean, I was just that worked up. And my wife's telling me, no, we got to learn to parent from a distance. Stop it. And she's looking in the mirror. I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and she's pulling one of these numbers. It was awful, but we made it back. She's done just fine, as your kids will too. So I'm hoping to tell you a little bit about some of our safety systems here at the University of New England. And after I walk through that a little bit, Tony Montalbano, who heads up the residence life staff over here, will talk to you about the residence halls and some of the things there. My staff and Tony's are really almost out of the same shop. That's how closely we work together. The first thing to know is that my staff's out here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year-round. You may have already seen our white Jeeps patrolling the campus. It's a pretty small campus, so I'm sure you've seen that same Jeep about 6 times if you were out there. But my staff, same staff, patrols the campus up in Portland. We're there all the time. We have our own dispatch center here where we take calls from your students, the rest of the community, and we dispatch our officers off to those calls as need be. We were just talking before you all came in about ID cards. Your students had their pictures taken for their ID cards. And when they arrive in the fall, they'll be given an ID card. All the access to our residence halls is electronic access, and it's only for that particular ID card that your student holds. So we just finished telling your students, and I'll go over this whole thing with them again in the fall, is that once they get their ID card, this is the key to their home. This is how they get into their home because it's locked all the time. And we teach them that if you lose this, you've got to tell one of Tony's staff, an RA, one of my staff right away, because we will electronically go in and kill this card immediately before someone can pick it up and start swiping. And we'll get your student another card. So these are an excellent safety feature by themselves. Now when you move in, the giant move-in that'll come up in August, you're going to notice I do prop open all the doors. I don't want you thinking back, geez, he told me locked all the time. But when you see how many people carting things up and down the stairs, during that one small period of time, we prop the doors open. As soon as you leave, we lock them. If you were to come out here at night, I don't think you folks would be here after dark, but you'll notice yellow call boxes with blue lights on them. These are scattered throughout the university, on the buildings. It's like you can see one blue light going to the other. And we tell your students that all they have to do is press that button anytime, and then one of my staff will pick up the phone and we'll respond down and assist them any way they may possibly need help. We also have what's called a safe ride shuttle in the evening. We usually start around 6 o'clock in the evening, and this shuttle is operated by one of our work-study students who wears a vest and has a radio link directly with us. And we have stops all over the campus. You may see the signs as you walk around. And we'll pick up students so that they don't have to walk after hours, especially if they feel uncomfortable. If after we stop the service around 2 o'clock in the morning or so, they feel uncomfortable in the least, they can call my staff, the dispatch center, and we will make sure they know all the numbers, and we'll give them a ride for them if they're the least bit uncomfortable at all about walking. Fire safety. We are very big on fire safety here at the University of New England. All of our residence halls are sprinkled. All of our alarm systems are tied in directly with the Biddeford Fire Department and the Portland Fire Department on the other campus. And we conduct regular fire drills. At least once a month, we will go in unannounced to the students, but work with Tony's staff, and we will pull a fire alarm. And we usually do it when it's nice out. We don't do it during the middle of a snowstorm. But we want to get them used to getting out of their rooms, going down and assembling in a certain place so that we can count noses and know that everybody's okay. So we do that probably once a month, and we'll try that. You see the news just as much as I do every single day. So the University of New England, being no exception in having to be prepared for these kinds of emergencies, has a very robust emergency notification system. In fact, just before I came to meet you all today, I was up teaching one of our new employees how to operate our emergency notification system. And in that system, your students, when they arrive on campus and they go to check in on you online, which is an internal computer module we have here at the university, it's going to prompt them to sign up for the emergency notification system. And all your student has to do is go in at any time, enter their contact information, email, phone, text, things like that, and they're registered in our system. If they put your information in, you will get those same alerts. So talk to your student about that and see if that's something you might be interested in. And we do test the system as well. We have pre-formatted messages in there for the very worst case scenarios so that we don't waste time and we get it out as rapid as we can. But University of New England has a very good emergency notification system. How many students are bringing cars to UNE? Very good. So I just talked to your students and 3 times that number raised their hand. So I'm just warning you. Be ready for that. Okay? It's coming. So every car parking on university property must have a permit. Now we cut a little slack in that because you can't even go online. All the permits are sold online. You can't even go online until August 1st. I've got them ready to go, but we won't sell them until August 1st. And at that time, we'll put out an email or a mailing, and we'll direct all of your students to, it's a simple site, une.thepermitstore.com, une.thepermitstore.com. And what your student needs is their car registration. They need a credit card, or if they choose, they can charge this to their regular student account here at UNE. That means it gets swept into the big bill, and guess who pays that? So be aware if you see them checking, their student account, that you'll probably see that figure jump up at some point. So like I said, have them go on after August 1st, have them go in, purchase a particular permit. They need a resident permit, no doubt, although I understand we have a number of commuters this year among the freshman class. But select the permit that they need, go ahead and get it, and they can print a temporary permit as well. And we'll talk to them more about that when the fall comes. And I guess the final thing, and then Tony will talk, and then we'll open it up to questions, is I get to meet with every member of the first year class about the first or second week of September. We have what's called a public safety evening. And we usually have it down in the tent here near the water and so forth. But at that meeting, I invite the patrol commander from the Biddeford Police Department to come up and talk to all of our students about local laws, about traffic, about anything that they want to talk about from the police side. And then I go into great depth talking about our own policies here on campus, alcohol, drugs, things like that, what to do if you get an emergency notification message, and so forth. And we always try to do that within 2 weeks of school starting because your students still think it's mandatory at that point. They quickly learn that things aren't quite mandatory all the time, so we try to grab them early on in the process. So there's a ton more things here I could talk about, but in the interest of time, we'll let Tony take his thing about Res Life, then we'll open it up to everybody. Oh, yes, wait just a minute. This is important. Most parents ask, is there something that you can talk to your student about now to let them know before they get to the university about what's important? So this is important, and you can save me a lot of trouble. Teach them how to make microwave popcorn. Teach them how to make mac and cheese. Water goes in it before you put it on the microwave. And teach them not to walk away from that while they're doing it. If you can take just a few minutes at home, I promise you, you will save the Biddeford Fire Department 1 trip per week here to the University of New England. And I'm not exaggerating. So please, show them how to use popcorn and make popcorn in a microwave. And on the serious side, I'll talk to them, and certainly the Res Life staff will talk heavily about, the more serious aspects of living alone and on your own and conduct and some of the things they need to watch out for. We'll take care of that part.
So unfortunately, I am full-blooded Italian, so I need to stand and talk, and my hands might get going, and it might be distracting, so I apologize in advance. So my name is Tony Montalbano. I'm the Associate Director for Residential Education and Housing. As Don said, I know that some folks here may have students that are commuting. You probably want to pay attention anyways, because when you're ready to boot them out the door, you can send them to us. So, one of the first things that's important to note is the University of New England has a 3-year residency requirement. So hopefully you all know that coming in, which means that they'll be living with us until their junior year, unless they're transitioning to the Portland campus. With that being said, everyone, I believe, has gotten their first bill. Nadia was talking about earlier. Everyone sees that they got the double rate on the bill. That doesn't mean that your student's getting a double, okay? The reason that we put the double rate on there is because that's the most expensive option for them. So as you're planning your financial aid, it's always easier to go, oh, you gave us too much money, here's a little back, instead of, we need more money. So that's why we put the double rate on there. The housing, the room and board includes, obviously, the room and board. It includes internet, cable, the programming that goes on. It also includes laundry. So if your student asks for quarters for laundry, they're hustling you. Okay? Laundry here is completely free. They don't use their card or anything, so don't be sending your laundry with them either. So we have a little limitation of how much laundry, but so all of that's included, all the programming and everything else that comes along with living on campus. Roommates will be available July 15th. There'll be a card going out to your student to check their UOnline, and at that point they'll be able to look and see who their roommates are, they'll be able to see their information, they'll know if they're in a triple or a double. We offer 3 different styles of housing for first years. There's a traditional double, traditional triple, and track style triple. So when your student did their housing and dining contract, they listed their preferences. We obviously try to make everybody into their first, but that's impossible. But we try to get everybody with who they want in the location that they want. So traditional halls are exactly what we think. Long hallways, the doors open up to the hallway. They're great, people will have their doors open. Someone will be like, I want to go to dinner, and all of a sudden 20 people pile out and they all go together. Track style triple refers to Featherman Hall, where the rooms go around the outside, and then in the middle there's showers and bathrooms. There's a hallway with a study room and a lounge, and same thing on the other side, so it's a big figure 8. So in that building, you have to be a little bit more intentional about getting out of your room. The RAs do a great job of trying to pull them out, but you have to be more intentional about interacting. You can't just open the door and see the people across the hall. So what's the first thing your students are going to do when they find out who their roommates are? Facebook. Right? Facebook. Right? They're going to jump on there and be like, oh my God, I can't live with this person. Right? They like Justin Bieber. So, and we will not, let me emphasize this, we will not do any room changes prior to arrival based off of Facebook assumptions. So don't have them call us and be like, oh, I can't live with this person or anything like that. We believe that roommates are all about communication and respect. Okay? If you notice when your student did that contract, right, we don't have a 100questionmatch.com kind of program here. I have seen roommates who are too much alike and they just clash. And I've seen roommates that are pink and bunnies and black and gothic be the best roommates. It's all about communication and respect. So if Don is my roommate, and from day one, I come home and Don throws his stinky socks on the floor, and that drives me crazy, and I don't say anything. Come November, when he comes home and does that, I'm going to be ready to throw him out the window. But if I communicate to him that this bothers me, and and he respects me enough to be able to do something about that, we're going to have a successful roommate. They put so much pressure on their roommates. I'm sure you've already talked about it, right? They come in with this idea like, oh, this is going to be my college friend. This is going to be the maid of honor in my wedding. No! That's a lot of pressure to put on a relationship of someone that you just met, that you maybe were emailing or talking to on the phone over the summer. That's a lot of pressure. They're going to meet people in their clubs and organizations. They're going to meet people in classes. They're going to meet, people down the hall. Again, being a good roommate, being able to come home and say, hey, Don, how was your day? Good. All right. You want to go to dinner? Sure. You don't have to be best friends. So we do know that there are issues that arise with roommates. That's, that's going to happen. One of the things that we do to step into that, or step in front of that prior to, is within the first week here, they'll fill out a roommate agreement. And I'm not talking a 500-page Sheldon Cooper Big Bang Theory. It's the basics. It doesn't have any time travel, constituents or anything. It's about things that we know are going to cause issues, right? When can they have guests? Do we share clothes? Do we share food? What time is the TV go off? What time are lights out? Those are the things that we need them to start to discuss. When they get their assignments on UOnline, right, and they start reaching out to each other, they need to start to discuss those along with who's bringing what. It's not a big room, people. It's not. And some of them are going to be in triples. And they can't bring their whole shoe collection, and they can't bring 3 TVs and 3 refrigerators and everything else. It's just not going to fit. But they make it work. You should see the setup of some of these rooms. It is unbelievable. For the past 3 years, we have been able to de-triple into, as soon as the dust settles, we see where there's some openings, we've been able to offer people to de-triple. And we've been turned down because they get comfortable in that spot in a very quick time. So that is going to be an option, once everything happens, but they do settle in. So with these roommate agreements, my staff is in the halls. We have RAs. RAs are student leaders. I spend 2.5 weeks training them in the fall. Everything from conflict resolution, time management, all the resources there as a reference for your student. Then you have my area coordinators. Area coordinators are professional level staff, master's level, and if you believe it, we actually go to school to do this. But so they live in the residence hall as well. They're there, again, as a resource for your student. And then there is myself and my assistant director, Jessica Fortin, within the housing office that they can always come talk to. But obviously we want them to be able to communicate with each other first when there's any issues. So along with the stuff that they're bringing for the room, I'm sure we have a partnership with a program called the Microfridge, which is a great opportunity as they progress into their sophomore, junior year, senior year, if they decide to live with us. They live in suites, and these suites have full-size refrigerators in there. So if you want to buy a mini fridge for them to have in their room down the road, that's great. If you want to just do a 1-year microfridge rental, they drop it off, they pick it up. If you're living on the 4th floor of Avila, you don't have to worry about trekking it up there or anything like that. So that's a good one. We also have a partner with the linens program where you can order linens and they make sure that it's the right size for the bed. If you haven't gone to Target or Walmart and picked out all that stuff, they have some great packages. They send it to your house and then you just bring it with you. All of our traditional residence halls have been renovated in the past 3 years, which means new windows, new bathrooms, all new furniture. They look really, really nice. So we're in the process of finishing up Avila now, and that's why there's nobody over there. And that was really it for me. One of the last things I'll say is that one of the things that I pride ourselves on is really listening to your students. For example, last year we had students saying, yeah, there's a lot of programming going on, but it ends at 10 o'clock on Friday night. And I'm 18. I don't want to go home and sit in my room and watch Netflix at 10 o'clock at night. So we've started to increase late night programming, right? We got the Hang open late night. One Saturday night in the spring, there was 330 people in the Hang playing bingo at 11:30 midnight, on a Saturday night. So there's always stuff going on. So when you get the call, or if you get the call, saying there's nothing to do here, okay, I give you permission to call me, and I will go drag them out of their room and show them what's going on, because literally they're walking around like this. Alright, so there is always something going on. Encourage them to get involved in different clubs or organizations. A lot of them say, I'm gonna wait, let me see how the semester goes. That's fine, but they need to start to explore what some of those clubs and organizations are. They need to start to, look and find other interests. It's important that they do well in class, but it's also important that they're out there exploring different options that the university has to offer. Thank you very much. We'll open it up to any questions at this point.
Are toasters allowed? Someone
No.
said has this peanut butter and toast.
Yeah, no toaster. So in the first year, once they get into upper class and they have their kitchen area, there are toasters in all the buildings, and each building has a kitchen, and there's a toaster located there that's owned by the university, but they cannot have one in their room. They cannot have anything with a open heating element.
Okay.
So the doubles and the triples are the same size rooms, it's just they bumped it up.
Yeah, the track style triple is actually a little bit bigger of a room. That's the one that's located in Featherman, but the traditional doubles and triples are the same size.
So they could have like something that heat up hot water, like a plug-in.
What do they call
like
those?
hot chocolate and water.
Yeah, for their ramen, and
Okay.
we all know they live on that, yeah.
So we came here on the Accepted Students Day, and we filled out all the information, and we actually found two compatible folks that wanted to be roommates. How is that considered between now and July 15th?
Yep, so at the end of orientation, or when they filled out their housing and dining contract, as long as roommate requests are mutual, we try everything in our power to do it. And every summer, I'm telling you now, every summer we have at least 2 or 3 where we get the call and it's like, I wanted to live with Dawn. And we just like, yep, okay, sorry. But Dawn didn't request to live with me, right? We might be having a great time in orientation. We're like, yeah, we'll be roommates. And I put Dawn down, Dawn puts me down, and the next day Dawn calls our office and says, can you take that off on me? And it happens. And it's, sometimes it's really hard for them to obviously express that, but we try to do everything we can to match them with the people that they want. And those requests will be available after orientation. If they meet someone now, they can always just email us up until July 1st. If there's any change, if they change the preference of buildings they want, or they meet somebody that they want to live with, all it takes is an email, we print it and staple it right to their housing and dining contract.
Just one quick follow-up question, and I don't know if it's appropriate for one of the other speakers. Do you have a computer support centers like yourself, a computer breaks or something that they can get it either fixed or get software loaded or that sort of thing?
There is an IT help desk. I don't know if they would necessarily help with personal computer issues. I don't think so, but typically what I found is that in any residence hall, there's going to be a number of folks that they'll meet that can just jump on there and really help out. And again, that would be maybe a question for even their RA, like, do you know someone who's good with computers that can help you with mine? But I don't think our IT would personally work on a private computer.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yep.
You've mentioned this sheet of preferences that they filled out. When did they fill that out?
When they did their housing and dining contract. Right on the contract, there's 3 lines, and they would have listed their preferences as to where they were going to
Was that during our orientation?
If they hadn't done it prior to today, they would have filled it out today before they got their key.
So you might have done it,
I was just saying, in the blue packet we got, there's a cool form about the IT program. It's in there. It has,
Okay.
like, yeah.
Okay.
Suann is awesome.
You can,
You can thank Sue Ann Johnson for that, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And more on IT, one's wireless, or do you have
Completely wireless. One of the things that we do encourage though is, so one of the things that we found is, right, they come in, they have wireless printer, wireless laptop, their pad, their game system, their phones, everything's running off wireless. And then when you multiply that by the number of people in the halls, it really bogs it down. So what we do is we encourage them, if you have a game system or if you have a printer or anything, hardwire it in. Because it makes it a lot easier on the system and doesn't slow it down. So, yeah.
I looked online to see measurements of the dorms and the furnished things, just to get an idea.
Yep.
furnishings, and are they consistent for all the different resident halls?
For mostly, one of the things that we've done is as we've been renovating the halls, I don't know, this isn't coming on. One of the things is as we've been renovating the halls, we've been purchasing smaller and smaller furniture to make it more accessible. They used to have these massive wardrobes, which took up a quarter of the room, and so that's one of the things that isn't on here because there's been different sets of furniture purchased, but you can find the basic size of the rooms. So while I look for that,
This is a question for Dawn. How far does your security corridor extend, and what is your average response time to your blue light zones?
Did you all hear the question? How far out does our authority extend, probably for lack of a better word, and what's our average response time? We are a private university. We only patrol our private property. In Maine, only state schools can have their own police departments. We are not a police department. So our average response time is almost nil. You've seen how small this campus is. So the response time is very quick. And certainly for tier 1 type emergencies and things, it's very fast. In the back.
Your officers armed?
No, they're not. The question was, are our officers armed? Again, we're not police officers. We arm them with pepper spray, and they have handcuffs. That's for their own personal safety, and they're trained in their use of no weapons other than that. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
How many officers are on duty?
The question was, how many officers do we have on duty? It depends on the time of day or night. I won't give you the exact number, but I tell you I stack higher on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I wonder why. I also mentioned to your students, I asked all of them as they're out there, and I do this to every group, how many people here are 21 years old? Not one hand. So that means no alcohol. We do have to follow those regulations pretty carefully because we receive federal financial aid. So we have to follow our rules and we have to report these things. The thing at UNE as well is that if your student is found to be with alcohol and underage, a letter will go home to you. You'll find out about that as well.
Quick question on the handcuffing. So the handcuffs, are they affecting the arrest? I mean, are they specials? What's the?
We are not police officers by any stretch of the
So
imagination.
there's not even a lesson.
That's correct. We don't want them making arrests, and the Biddeford Police Department are here very quickly. However, I can tell you the times that we've had to use them, what they're trained to use them, is if the situation's combative, they're to restrain the combative person until the police arrive.
So it's just a restraint.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I know when people applied for the housing stuff that there were bikes being given out. When students be notified of those?
What was the word?
About bikes?
Oh, the bikes. The way it works is, if some of you came to admissions day, we have 150 bikes to give away. We started calling right after graduation. So far, of the 150, I think they've given only about 60 away because other students want zip cars, others want to bring their cars to campus. So we still have some phone calling to do. And what will happen is you'll get a phone call from one of our dispatchers. Are you interested in a bike? What is your height? Do you want a male or female size? And when they come in the fall, it'll be waiting for them.
My daughter got that phone call, and she's like, what do I want a bike for? But I want her to like. How do I get back in touch in time to say, yes, indeed, I would love that bike?
She just, I know where you're going with that one, and you'll love it. The bikes are theirs. They can do whatever they want with them. So just have her call the same number that was given, or I'll give it to you. Area code 207-602-2298. That's our non-emergency line. Have her give her name. I was called about a bike. I want a bike. And the next email she gets, where to go pick it up. They size her to it, put the helmet on. Up she goes.
that means no car.
Take a flight at home?
But we give the students lights, locks, helmets, everything, but the only condition is they cannot bring a car to campus for 1 year. They can't bring a car. That's the price you pay for that one. It's a pretty small price.
Do any of the residence halls have pianos in the lobby? And if not, where would the pianos be located?
Yep. So we don't, and we actually did some testing, in one of the residence halls, and unfortunately, one of the lounge spaces wasn't designed and the sound really carried. So there's actually a piano in the St. Francis room, which is in the downstairs of the Ketchum Library. It's a beautiful room, overlooks the water.
Where the reception is gonna be.
Oh, it's where the reception is. There's a big grid there. And then there used to be one in the MPRs, and I don't know if it's still there or not. There's a back room in the campus center where they actually had, but they would just want to double check on that. Yeah.
In the back.
Hi, two quick questions. One, can you repeat the bike number again? The
Oh,
707?
well, it's not just the bike number, it's our non-emergency line that everybody calls. It's
Okay.
area code
Okay.
207-602-2298.
2298, okay, great. And it's a little bit more hard-hitting. There's been a huge epidemic with drugs, even with a lot of good kids kind of getting caught up on it. We've been watching in the news, and could you just very generally tell us how you handle that in a dorm situation, if you come across it, and what's the usual procedure?
Sure. And Tony and I handled this one together, thankfully not that many times for you. But typically if a student's found with some pot or some other drugs or something like that, they don't hide it well, honestly. And the smell gets out and we go in and what we will do is we will enforce that internally. We'll go in, we'll talk to the student about it. Usually one of Tony's professional staff, master's level staff, will stay with the student and we will actually search the room in looking for other drugs. Again, we're a private school, not government agents, so we can do that. And then the student will face our internal judicial process after that, which it's educationally based, but it's our court, if you will, if I had to put in terms parents get and I had to learn. And the student will face that, and whatever comes out of that comes out of that. I will tell you this, that I don't even allow our officers to possess drugs of any kind after they seize them. We turn all drugs that we confiscate over to the police. Now, the police may ask, where did you get these? We will release your student's name.
So the other part with that too is that we don't necessarily need to find drugs to put them through the conduct process.
Correct.
If they come back and they're smelling like marijuana, or if there's any other reason, we will put them through the conduct process. The hearing is simply an opportunity for us to get their side of the story, be able to get them and have a discussion with them, and then be able to make a decision whether they're responsible or not for violating policy.
As a follow-up to that, then, do you guys bring drugs, sniffing dogs through once in a while or anything like that?
No, we don't. Again, remember, we're a private, non-law enforcement school. And the main purpose of our being here as administrators are to enforce our private policies. So we don't bring in drug dogs, we don't bring in the police unless we go into the criminal side, the criminal amounts or that type of drugs.
There are staff members that have dogs that trick people though.
Just a quick question, as I drove in, it says that you're smoke-free and tobacco-free campus. How do you prove that, and if you have people on,
Yep, there's a whole procedure that we have for staff, and we don't want to be the smoke police either. I mean, however, most staff will approach, there's a process we approach, and it's an educational approach. Please, we're smoke-free and so forth. And the students have accepted it very well. We haven't really had any problems with students. The occasional problem we get are contractors, conference attendees who just aren't used to these type of things. But we found that it really wasn't a big deal to the students at all.
One of the big things with that too is that it's smoke-free and tobacco.
Tobacco-free.
So which means e-cigarettes, the vapor cigarettes, any kind of smoke inhalation is not, you will see occasionally students walk down to the main road and walk the sidewalk up because it's not the university property, so.
So I noticed that you answered that question as far as pot, but is alcohol the same policy
Yes, same thing. We treat alcohol the same way.
as well? Okay.
Yep. And again, we're non-law enforcement. Now, I don't turn alcohol over to the police. They would hate me. So with that, we usually have the usual procedures. We respond. And again, nobody is listening at the door for these things. It's usually because the students are not very discreet, frankly. You hear the party, whatever's going on. We go in, if they're not of age, they get dumped right there. The alcohol gets dumped, and they go through our judicial process internally.
We make them dump it.
Yeah,
Makes it even worse.
yeah, exactly.
What is the cost for the car permit?
A resident student permit is $300 per year. Now you know how I pay for the bikes and the zip cars.
So the zip cars they can use at any time?
Zip car.
Sign them up for the program?
Zipcar is a cool program, I have to tell you. It is not a, have you all heard of Zipcar? It's a national car sharing program. Your student has to apply separately to Zipcar to be a member. They're the only organization that since they attend UNE, they will insure an 18-year-old. I mean, good luck with that. So they actually check the student's driving record. Once they accept the student, then they'll give them a zip card. All they have to do is go online, reserve the car whenever they want, go out and put the card over the windshield, it unlocks. They don't pay for the gas, they don't pay for the insurance, anything like that. It's billed out on the hourly usage of the vehicle. Now go think of the bike program for 1 minute. If you don't take the bike and you don't bring a car to campus and you get fully accepted by the Zipcar program, your student can email me after they've been accepted, and once a year I'll give them a $225 electronic gift card to load into their account. So what we see is once the students get back, I drive 1 week, Tony and two of his buddies get in the back, Tony drives next week, we all pile in, and that's how they get around and so forth. They figure these things out very quickly. Yes, ma'am?
How much does it cost to use the car?
I want to say that it's about $8 or $9 an hour. I haven't looked at this year's rates, but remember, they don't put gas in it, they don't pay for insurance, anything like that. It's theirs to use. And if you want to see the two cars, they're the two four-wheel drive cars that are parked at the end of the campus center parking lot. Anyone can go on and reserve those, take them anytime.
So that's all that's available?
Yeah.
So I would think they're not available very often?
On the contrary, we have yet to have one complaint since 2008 that they haven't gotten a car when they wanted it, which I think is stunning, but it just works out that way.
Did they go online and reserve the slots?
You go online, reserve the slot you want, and Zipcar monitors our usage all the time. If we reach a certain threshold, they'll put another car here. We haven't crossed that threshold yet.
Okay, we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
Is there a limit on the parking permits that you give out?
Not on this campus. The question was, is there a limit to the number of parking permits? Freshmen, resident students will have a parking permit at any time. We'll get them the space. And please tell them, park in a resident lot. Park between 2 lines. I tell them this all the time. You won't believe this, but for this tiny campus, in the tiny campus in Portland, my staff gave out almost 4,000 parking tickets. That's 1,000. That's more like than the city issues. And a way a resident student can avoid all that is, number 1, have a permit. 2, park only in a resident parking lot. And I say, kids, I'm not talking down to you. Park between 2 lines, and you will avoid a ticket, I promise you. It just works out. Do we have time for another one?
Just one more maybe.
Yeah, so regarding the parking issues, if they have friends come up to see them and they're going to spend the night, do they clear it with someone on campus?
Yes. The question is if somebody comes to visit, and we would ask you even do this, unless it's a big move out or something, move in, move out time period. They stop at security. We issue them a temporary pass. It also lets us know who's on campus. We give them and tell them exactly where they can park. But we want to know who's here all the time.
They also need to log on, and the RA will go over this at check-in in their first floor meeting, but they also need to go online and register their guest and print a slip that the guest must carry with them at all times.
And they have to be a certain age?
They have to be a certain age, and if they're under a certain age, they need parent consent to be here. So, Don and I will step outside. If anyone has any other questions before we hand it over to one of my area coordinators who's filling in. I also have business cards up here that I'll leave for anyone who wants to get in touch.
Guys, you will get through this, I promise you. You will get through this. Take care.
Thank you.